everyone. My name is Justin Harris. Here are my Monday musings. I want to get right into it, but before I do, if you haven't signed up for my free newsletter, it's at jharriscoaching.fit. It's in my bios everywhere. You can find it. You can sign up there. Uh, it's a free newsletter. Sends out on the 1st and 15th of every month. I keep it to a 5-minute read. I've been in this game a long time as an athlete, professional triathlete, working with Olympians and Olympic medalists, beginners, speed and power events, endurance events. And instead of giving you like, this is what the research says, we get into the real shit, the art of the training, the nuance, the stuff with patina on it, the good stuff. All right. So be sure to join up if you haven't done it. And I try to give you a lot of goodies to think about. So today, what I want to talk about is this idea of training. And Matt Wilpers, for those who don't know, is my boss and someone I coach. Remember, I'm talking about training versus exercise, and I've gotten into that at length. But I want to talk about training, and I want to give you an example, a story. So I have an athlete who is having some iron issues, and they're a pretty capable and solid endurance athlete. Uh, they don't report a lot of issues. And so when they were kind of saying like, I just felt like I didn't have it. I thought it was weird, but it didn't really throw up a huge red flag. And iron can really do this if you haven't been around it or you don't have experience with it. It's like very subtle. And eventually I was like, when have we got, after 2 or 3 weeks, I was like, when's the last time you got blood work? And it had been a year for the physical. I'm like, can you just go get it? Right. And it showed high iron or high ferritin, excuse me, which manifests just like low iron. It's a little harder to breathe, get a little foggy brains, nothing that's really stands out as like, this is what's going on. It doesn't feel quite acute. You just feel like, maybe it's me. Anyway, how I deal with iron is I pull back on training, and but I pull back on volume, but I keep intensity up. And this person really enjoys volume. So last week, I asked them just to check in with them because things are starting to go better, and we don't have the confirmation from the follow-up blood work after 6 weeks. But I asked them, "Do you feel like you're training?" And I talked about this in my newsletter today, but there was a sigh, like, and a giggle, because I've worked with this athlete for a while, and I really trust them, and they really trust me, and we work really well together. They're like, I know what the answer is supposed to be, but no, I don't feel like I'm training. And so we talked about it. We talked about it at length. Like, well, what about it doesn't feel like training? Like, well, I'm not doing too much volume. And so I don't feel like I'm really pushing myself. I don't feel like I'm scared of the workouts or the week. Right. And so it was a really interesting conversation to have with them, to like hear how they feel. And, it's valid, right? Like, it's how this athlete feels. Like, when they're doing 20, 30 miles a week, it doesn't feel like real training. And so we have to define what real training is. And let's just say training. Okay. And some people would define it as 60 minutes or more. Some people would define it 30 minutes or more. Some people would say when I'm training towards an event. Some people would say, when I don't take days off. Some people will say when I feel like I can remember. Well, there's a million ways, right? And so I'm going to read you something that I wrote for my newsletter today on how I define whether you're training or not. And to me, training is the systematic selection of exercises executed over time in order to close the gap from where you are to where you want to be. So if you're showing up for yourself and you are trying to close that gap, doesn't mean that you actually close that gap. All right. And we can talk about all the permutations of this, right? But if systematically you're selecting exercises, training sessions to move towards closing that gap, okay, you are training. So when you have medical issues or health issues, and we have to pull back acutely, like sick and chronic, let's just say at the medium level iron stuff, I've had people who have had bigger issues, hysterectomies, elective surgeries, colon cancer, stage 1, heart surgeries, pacemakers put in, all kinds of stuff, right? It can feel like you're not training because you don't have an event. And so I would say, even though we've pulled back on things, like recovery is part of the gap, right? Like you're trying to close the gap because we don't get better when we squeeze the sponge, aka putting a lot of effort. We get better when we release the sponge, when we can absorb it. Okay. So taking days off are systematically a selection of something to execute, which is a day off. Exercise. Actually, no exercise, right? Your annual week off, those things, right? So, notice how I didn't say a specific time frame, only when I'm in training, right? And so my clients who are the most successful ebb and flow through this concept of training. And most people come in with a rigid idea like, I need a race, I need this, I need that, right? And yes, I understand it helps with motivation, but it really misses on that point of training, because if you're injured, people are like, well, I'm not training. I'm like, well, on Mondays we're doing VO2 max on the elliptical or bike, if we can say, if we're not running, you know, um, we're doing aerobic in between. We're doing strength rehab. In rehab, the strength is actually just rehab right now. We're not doing more than that, but that's the level that it's supposed to be at. We're doing threshold. We're doing some longer stuff. We're adding sessions. So like, people would be like, well, I'm not really trained. Now I feel like I'm really training. I'm like, no. You were training the day after you got hurt. We've been training. So I'm curious to the things that you have struggled with, or how you perceive when you're training, what your definition is. So chime in. Love to hear it. I might get a milk mustache because I'm drinking a recovery shake after my group ride today, which I feel like I'm finally in shape. You missed a good one, Pierce. Yeah, it's been a year coming, but I finally was able to punch the pedals after, let's see, last Monday we did a really hard ride. I had to take off Tuesday, Wednesday for stuff. Then Thursday I rode 75 miles in the heat. Friday I had to take off. Saturday I rode 75 miles in the heat. And then yesterday I rode 82 miles in the heat and felt really good. So anyway, I'm going to enjoy my recovery shake, then my glass of wine, Albarino, good white wine from New York. So who's here? What's up, Karen? Love that you're always joining. What's up, Claudia? What's up, Pierce? What's up, Nicole, Nazreen? Olga, how you doing? So curious to how you define training, what it looks like for you. So chime in here. And if anyone is on Facebook or YouTube, hello, you can chat. I mostly do it for the recordings. Or if anything pops up, things you're curious about, questions. But if you haven't yet, sign up for the newsletter. You can find it in my bio. What's up, Roberto? 5-minute read free. Just trying to build that up over time, organically. So yeah, how do you define training is what we're talking about. Yeah, hand up, Claudia. Yes, overcoming injuries and feeling like, am I training? Am I really training? But the key thing is, when things start flowing, how far away are you from where you left off? And that's one really big thing that we're really focusing on with returning from an injury or illness is, trying to not fall too far behind, but only at the rate at which is appropriate. So sometimes it's about we got to like really let things go in order to get the ship back on track. So yeah. Yeah. Curious what you guys think or questions you have up. But yeah, no. So last year 2 years ago, I really kind of rebalanced my own training because I wasn't enjoying the racing I was doing. I didn't want to do the workouts eh, to get to the point where I wanted to enjoy them. So I kind of rebalanced my fitness portfolio. And it was a little weird for me. Like, what are my athletes going to think if I'm not racing? Because I'm constantly getting asked because people care. I appreciate that. What does it mean for me? Like, am I like getting older where I never want to race again? I knew it wasn't quite that. I just decided to give myself some space. And so last year I did some Pilates. I was very consistent in the weight room, at least once a week in the sauna, most of the time twice, one day a week running, get some longer rides in, which I enjoy, like 60 to 70 miles when my wife's working. So yeah, and I just last year I got my ass handed to me on the group rides. Like just people were smashing my legs. And so I got into shape really quick, but then I like kind of faded pretty quick. And I say quick to ripen, quick to spoil. And so this year is more like kind of like a steady grind, steady burn, and like race early in the season and got me in shape, which was really cool. What's up, Lindsay? How you doing? Pierce, I look at it as training for an event and training for the health lives I want to live for years. Yeah. Yeah, so like this is a big thing, right? And like if you're not training for event, some people feel like they're not doing anything, even though they're doing it for their life. And this is the thing is like it doesn't kind of sometimes it doesn't feel the same. Like when you're training an event, you're like really focused, but like there's a lot of sometimes compromises, right? Like you don't go to hang out with your friends or go out to grab that drink or eat that food that you want to eat, right? And so it can kind of feel like it feels good to have like constraints and structure, but sometimes we just squeeze that box too much and it's like, no, I don't want to be there ever again. And so then we have to take like a big step back. And so for me, instead of making like these big ebb flows or like really volatile, right? It's like kind of more like how are we flowing through things, right? And it's for me, I really have to do a post on this. Picasso's lithograph. Like to me, that's what training is. Like if you ever look at like look up Picasso's series of lithographs of the bull, lithographs of the bull, and basically it's like it's a bull. It looks like a bull, like kind of in his way, you can tell. And I'm not a big art guy, but then it was like it gets like to be his abstract way, and it's like getting more abstract, and then it gets more cleaner, and then it's almost like one pen stroke or paintbrush stroke, and it's like it's a bull. It's the essence of the bull, and that's really what we're trying to do and figuring that out. So anyway, Claudia, iron issues too. I think it's working with one a schedule, two intentional workouts to move the needle to close the gap, maybe towards a race, but not necessarily always. Yeah. Yeah. So a schedule can be helpful, right? Um, it's like anything. It's a double-edged sword. Schedules can be helpful and they can be really difficult. And it's a tough call, right? Sometimes it's having a coach or someone to like, be there with you. But yeah, anyway, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. Nicole, training is something to get me closer to the goals that I want to meet. Yeah. But what happens if you don't meet those goals? Are you still training? And I'm being, you know, a little abrasive on purpose, right? Because I've had people like, well, if I don't meet my goals, then well, that was a waste of time, or I don't feel like I'm doing it. And that's why, like, my definition is like the systematic selection of exercises executed over time in order to close the gap between where one currently is to where they want to be. What's up, Callan? And for me, it's like all the troubles that people go through of like goal setting. Like, I don't really, you can ask any of my athletes, I don't really do goal setting sessions, and it's on purpose. I'm not being lazy. I feel like good, Nicole. What's up, Josh? Oh, my mommy's here. Hi, mom, and my wifey's here too. So we're talking about what it means to train or exercise. What does it mean when you're actually training? But Josh, you had a 70.3. I saw some of your stuff, but I didn't pay. Unfortunately, I didn't pay close. Did you have? Oh my! She even knows how to message. I'm so proud of you, mom. Was it Happy Valley that you did, Josh? And how'd it go? I feel like just before I jumped on, I was on Instagram, and I think I was seeing your highlight reel, but I couldn't watch it. So my mom is the most tech savvy mom out there, just for all you to know. And she's the one that her and my dad had to deal with chasing me around. This little baby Justin, nonstop. As my dad says, and maybe mom, you can validate this or not. Dad says that I can't. He never had a tough time putting us to bed because we just did so much during the day. Oh God, though, she's probably here to make sure your facial hair hasn't gotten completely insane. I don't know. My mom generally doesn't comment on my facial hair, mom, right? Happy Valley, hardest and most amazing course I've done at 70.3. Interesting. What made it hard? I know I've heard the bike's hard. Any full Ironman athletes this summer for you? Yes, I have a local guy that I'm going to help for either Cozumel or Florida for full. Yeah, I'm always on the run. What's up, Kathleen? I gotta shave, so my mustache looks. Wolfgang, one of the luge boys. Yeah, it's been a while since I've coached a full Ironman. I'm kind of getting pegged as the marathon coach, but the first non-track event I coached someone in was Ironman Louisville when it was in August. I think they moved it. This would be like 2008. And the guy came up, and I was coaching track athletes, and it was like my second year of coaching, second year out of college. And he's like, Doug Thompson, I don't know if he ever sees this, but he reads my newsletter. He actually toured with the Beastie Boys. He was in a punk rock band called Murphy's Law. And so he had a little rock and roll to him, but he's a big triathlete. And he just kept coming in the running shoot. The running shop I was working at was right across the street from his. He owned Main Street Bistro in the village of New Paltz, and he would come over and he's like, "Hey, you're pretty fast. Like, I need a new coach. Like, my coach, like, he's just kind of not doing for me. We've been together for a while." He's like, I'm like, "Well, what are you doing?" He's like, "Ironman Louisville." I'm like, "I've never coached anyone in swimming or triathlon, even though I'm doing it." He's like, "Yeah, but we'll figure it out." And I'm like, "Nah, I'm not so sure." And he's like, "Well, think about it." And I didn't say anything because I was intimidated by it. And then he comes back in a week later. He's like, "Hey, come on, man, you can coach me. We can do this together." And he's like, "I'll pay you $150 or whatever it was." For me at that time, it was a lot of money. And I set up the parameters, and he executed. And yeah, he did Ironman Louisville, but he was like, I'm not there to like jog it in. Like I want to race it. And he's like 6'2", 6'3", like 215 pounds. Like he was a bigger guy, and bigger people have more skin to cool down. Therefore, hot races they don't do well in. And I'm like, dude, you picked the wrong race, like to do Ironman for like your body type and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, let's give it a go. We'll figure it out. Rock and roll, man. And so, oh man, yeah. So it was, I guess the bike was hot, the swim was hot, everything was hot. And he said the run was you go out and it was like a giant loop, one loop, and then it was like 5K out, 18 miles in and then 5K in or something like that. And he said he got to 5K and he's like, nope, stepped off the course. And I felt like I failed him. He's like, no, we're good. And then he did Vineman, I think, out in California, and he had a lot of success there. So he was the one that got me coaching. What's up, Neil? What's up, Kelly? Kelly it was a big 70.3 weekend. Kelly did Eagle Man and did well, overcoming a run injury over the fall. Got the bike up. But yeah, that was the first Ironman I did. And then so that was Ironman Louisville, Ironman Louisville, then Ironman Vineman with him. And then I coached a guy who had lost like 100 and something pounds, and he was like 60 something, and he did Ironman Florida, and his goal was to make off the cutoff time, which when he came to me, we only had like 8 weeks, and he did 70.3 Providence when that was around. I don't know if it's still around. And he did 7 hours, like 7.5 hours in the half. And I was like, oh man, like this is getting like, well, if we double your time, that's 15. And then you got to add some. And that, like, this is tight. But he did his work. He did open water swim. He did everything. And he finished inside the time cut. It was awesome. And I coached someone. I introduced them to triathlon. They were a marathoner. They did a sprint. And then then they signed up for Ironman Cozumel. I'm like, come on, man. But he went 10.5 hours. Like, he really knocked it out of the park. So that was pretty cool. I'm trying to think about other Ironmans I've coached. Not a bunch. It's a tough one. It's a huge commitment. You got to have a supportive spouse, family. You got to have the money for it. You got to have the time for it. Like, it's like the marathon. You cannot fake it. So, Josh, first non-wetsuit swim for me. That can be really challenging. I'd love to hear about that. Bike is fast, big climbs, technical descents, hills late. 3,800 feet. Yeah, that's solid. And a run is up and down another 650 feet. But the scenery and crowds. Yeah, fire. Yeah. Yeah. So how'd you feel about the non-wetsuit swim? Like, did you feel nervous because you didn't have the wetsuit? Did you feel like you got out of position a little bit? I'm curious. I've done like pro when I was racing pro, like the pro wetsuit tempo, I think was like 68 or something like that. So there was a few times we couldn't swim in it. I had a swim skin at the time, and that helped a little bit because I sucked at swimming. What's up, Judith? Didn't know wetsuit for Augusta. I didn't, and it was regretting it for the bike last summer. Yeah. Oh, no wetsuit. Yeah, I didn't know wetsuit. Yeah, that was a cold one, opposite of what he's dealing with. Kelly crushed it. It was hot. Yeah. Yeah, I mean triathlons. I mean they start in the morning, but you're out there a while, so you're running in the heat. Like last time I did a 70.3 was 2 years ago. Matt and John Ferry, and I was Muscle Man. I wasn't in great shape, but oh man, that water was warm. As soon as you got on the bike, it was warm. It was like, I think I finished, it was like 91 degrees. It was tough. It's hard to manage. You really got to go off effort. Yeah, I've had a couple tough moments in the water, like panic. My very first triathlon when I got dunked, swam over, punched, hit, pulled, all in the first like 70 seconds. And so that was tough. And then I had it a couple years ago, and then Muscle Man, believe it or not, like I was like a little, like it was borderline wetsuit, and I didn't bring it, and the car was 2 miles away, and I said, last minute, I said, fuck it, I'm gonna go put it on. I don't feel comfortable because I wasn't doing a lot of swimming, so I didn't feel like in good shape. But anyway, we're talking about what training means to you. How do you define training? And also a special guest appearance by my mom, if she's still here. Can't see. You can tell them how I was like a kid. Embarrass me. Not too much, please. Don't embarrass me, Mom. Oh, yeah. Got 2 short swim grip practices in, like at the course. So I wasn't nervous, but knew it would take more out of me. So managed my energy, but had to find my own space to swim more. Yeah. Yeah, the swim skin's helpful. It's more for hydrodynamics, right? It's not really for buoyancy. You can't. They've definitely got better since when I think I had them. First swim skin ever was a tier or TYR or something. Yeah. But there's nothing worse than overheating in the swim. I'll tell you that much. Like it wipes you out, and it's dangerous. Like outdoor pools in August, you're roasting, and then you get in. Like, you ever sweat in the water? I have. When I was training for Ironman, when I was training for full Ironman, it was like, yeah, doing 4,000 meters 3 times a week, 2 or 3 times a week, which would take me like 90 minutes, almost 2 hours. I would just do like 20 by 200, and I'd mix up the 200. It's like different focal points, different. Like I kept it super simple for my training. It worked really well. But yeah, we're talking about training. We talking about practice. Talking about practice. We're talking about training. How do you define training? And anything else you guys want to talk about or curious about? I've done one Ironman. Now I think I've done 370.3s. Really challenging course was, and I don't know if they still have it as a half. I think they call it something else. I don't think they do. But Christy, party's here. Everyone get on the party bus. Christy's here. Was Rev 3 had a series to go against Ironman, but it didn't make it. And they actually really liked the races. They treated the pros really well. Just like we were a feature of the product instead of just like this like thing to market. But Rev 3 Quasi in Pennsylvania that was a tough course. There was a 5-mile climb on the bike on it. There was no flat part. It's like middle Western Connecticut. And the swim was all right in a lake. That was fine. The bike was challenging, which I really loved. And then the run was like a lot like dirt roads up, and there was no flat. What up? We're talking about training. How do we define it? And anything else? Kelly's done a 70.3. Josh has done a 70.3 this past weekend. So we're talking about a little triathlon, which I really want to challenge you guys to go for a swim. Oh, Nicole, yeah, you did it? Quasi was a great, like, that was like an honest. See, I preferred honest courses. What's up, Justin? Because I needed it. Like, I needed an honest bike and an honest run so I can like run people down who are really fatiguing. So that's what I needed. They are badasses, the two of them. But my Ironman, I was like kind of trying to be strategic, and I looked at the previous year results. Rev 3 had a full Ironman out in Sandusky, Ohio, which there was an amusement park out there, and that's dead flat. And I'm not great on flats, but it had a weak field the year before, and then I was like, oh, let me go there and maybe I can get in the money. Nope, I went 903 and didn't get in the money for these Ironman people and triathlon people. 903 for my debut full Ironman. I swam 108 because it was a non-wetsuit swim, and there was like it was Lake Erie, but a bad storm came in the night before, and there was still like wind, so there was like 1, 2 like foot like 2 foot swells. Like I was going up and down. I was just getting chopped all over the place. And so it really sucked because I mapped out on GPS a 2.4 mile swim and I did it in like 55 minutes solo. So I was ready to rock and roll. So the 108 sucked. But on the bike, I went 445. So that's 23.1 miles an hour. I rocked that. That actually surprised me. And then I ran 305 off the bike. And the last 10K, I like my fitness was great. It was just like my legs could not handle the pounding. Christy, I did a sprint try and I was surprised how much I liked the swim. I mean, not like fun, but definitely meditative. Yeah, the swim training is really nice. Oh, you did in 2017 and 18. Yeah, that's a good one. I love swimming. I mean, like in the pool or open water, especially open water, like I just get out so relaxed. But in racing, it's like I'm just basically drinking the lake. Yeah, full Ironman's crazy. What's up, Karina? Yeah, Kelly kicked butt. Josh kicked butt. Kelly did about the same swim. PR'd on the bike, which with the run injury, we did a lot of biking. And the run, I think she managed it very well in hot conditions. Even though it was slower, like a hot day can just really make it there. Yeah, but I didn't have the fastest bike. Like I went 903 and I was 12th. Like the winning guy went 837, 840, and this is 2012. So there's still cables sticking out all over the bikes. There's rim brakes. There's no super shoes. I ran in Asics Gel DS trainers. Like, yeah. I came through in the half in 130 on the run. And I was like barely breathing. Crazy. Yeah. 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 Nothing worse running in the heat. Really is. It's very challenging. And the thing is like, even though you're on the bike and the like wind's blowing, you're still out there in the sun. You're out there for, you know, 4, 5, 6 hours, it gets to you. So I thought she did a great job. So, yes, I have a very, I don't know, I wouldn't call it persuasive, but I have a very, let's say, informative protocol uh, for heat management and ice. Oh yeah, 23 was brutal for the marathon. Yes, Kelly did not. Kelly, did you did did you want to wear a hat? What do you say? I think training. Oh, Roberto, somehow I missed that. I think training is as simple as purposely managing your workout density. You don't necessarily need a race on the calendar to do that. Yes, I love that. Not really, but yeah, she didn't want to wear the hat. Roberto, you peaked. You just keep getting funny. No, yeah, no, no one wants to wear a hat. They never do. I'm like, please wear a hat. I'm like, I'm not wearing a hat, and it's counterintuitive. It's going to hold heat in. No, but you can put ice in it and put it on your head, and it cools your head, right? And if you cool your head, with ice, but it's like melting. It's melting down your back, your neck, your jugular. Like it cools you off. And then the other thing is to like just grab ice and hold in your hand. They don't talk about this too much, but I remember when Lance Armstrong was winning the Tour de France and stuff and whatever, he doped and stuff. And I don't love it. I'm torn on it because everyone else doped in that time. But he had this hand cooling device. Like he'd slip his hand and it was like a metal sleeve and he would just like grab onto it because the blood is the furthest away that you can control in your hand. And so like when it would return back, it'd be cooler and it would cool you off and pump out. So I tell people to just grab a handful of ice in like both hands and just run with it. And it helps cool you down. So Christy, call him out every time he doesn't stay at that level, right? We got to keep that man honest. Jellyfish, yeah. Kel, did you get stung by any? And we got to debrief this week. Tomorrow's my day to get everyone organized for this week. Um, so I owe you a text. Yeah, I don't know that I've been stung by a jellyfish swimming. I've definitely had the shit scared out of me by in South Beach, Miami. I'll remember this for the rest of my life. How much fear I had because it was not too long after Steve Irwin died by a stingray sting. And I don't like swimming in the ocean far out. So I would go out until like my stroke down, all the way down is like this far off the ground, and then I just swim parallel to the shore, even if I'm in the waves. I don't care because I don't want to go out. I'm freaked out, and my whole what's up, Marathon Graham? My whole vision, the sand just like lifted up at me because again, like I'm only this, like my hand like all the way down is only like this, like this far from the bottom. And it was a gigantic stingray. I mean, I could out of my periph, I barely could, like the whole thing like lifted up around me and it like swam away. And I just thought I was going to get stung by the stinger. And oh my God, did I swim so fast out of the water. And then I came walking down the beach and my girlfriend's dad at the time, who we were vacationing with, was like, "Did you see a shark or something?" And I was like, "No, a stinger." I mean, like it was wide. I'm 6 feet tall. Like it was way wider than my hands. Crazy. Yeah. Lots of jelly things. Jellyfish. Oh man. Yeah, that's insult to injury. Did you feel them like in the water getting stung? Like while you're doing it, or did you realize like, jeez. All right, can we be done with Eagle Man, Kelly? It's hot. They got jellyfish. Our pets' heads are falling off. If you can name the movie, I'll give you a little cheers. That's badass. Oh, maybe let's see. Everything's good there. Everything's good there. All right, sorry. You guys can keep chatting. Hopefully the sound gets better. Wi-Fi is good. Here. Try this one. How's this? Any better? Hello. Let me know. Yeah, I don't know what they would do to cancel a race. And if you guys can hear me, let me know. 70.3. I mean, there's so much money in it, so many people. It's like really hard to cancel an event. And it's not like lethal. It's just annoying. Let me know if you can hear me. I did shut off the mic. Later, Kel. Let's try this. Any better? I got two mics. 2 turntables on a microphone. What's up, Andrew? Much better. Okay, let me turn one off. Let's see. How's this? Still work? Better mucho. Okay. I'm gonna shut the receiver off. Fucking technology. Internet? What the fuck is the internet? What movie's that from? You can see my taste in music or movies. Anyway, Kelly had to leave. She's got to get back to teaching. All right, volume's a bit lower. Sound is clear. I can deal with that. I'll put all the microphones on and I'll actually talk to them. Let me know if it's reverbing. But anyway, we're getting close to the end anyways. Man, we talk for a while. Anyway, wondering, Andrew, how you been, man? How's your training going? And I'm curious, we've been talking about training, defining it. Curious if you guys have any questions. The heart rate monitor is the Coros heart rate strap. I'll put it in here. Coros. Actually, I'll just link it. Let's see if I can do that. Coros. It's an armband. No, block, products, Coros heart rate monitor. All right, let's see. No. All right. I'll text it to you, Andrew. I got your number. But it's Coros HRM. Later, Claudia. It's a heart rate monitor band. It goes around on your bicep. I'll text it to you too. You just got to make sure you manually connect the sensor the first time on your cycling computer, on Peloton, on your smartwatch, and then the first time you do it, it'll always connect. It's like a Bluetooth speaker that's been connected. What's up, Claire? And my wife just said they can't hear you. It's static. It's okay. Thanks, babe. I think we got it fixed. Andrew. Okay. All right. Nope. It's not what I wanted. I guess that was my last copy paste that you got there. Andrew, you can ignore the previous. What's up, Claire? How you doing? We've been talking about training, how you defined it. I'm not sure if you're on my newsletter. What's up, Princess Swim Fitness 2020? If you're not on my newsletter, you should join it. It's free, 5-minute read, art of training, 20 plus years of current athlete experience, being an athlete, coaching people, all kinds of shit. So, but I really talked about like when people don't feel like they're training and what that really means. And I think they're being a little too rigid on what training means. So to me, training is the systematic selection of exercises executed over time in order to close the gap between where one is currently and where they want to be. Closing that gap. Picking things, even if it's a day off, a week off, it's structured. So anyway. But how you been, Andrew? How are things going? And I'll hang out for like another 5 minutes. I got to eat dinner. My protein shake is recovery drink. is wearing off. I got to shower, bring the trash out. I got things to do. But I'd rather be here chatting with you guys. So, um, yeah, training. I just find too many people when they get injured and they're coming back, they think they're just exercising when they're really training. Pretty good. Following your schedule is still paying dividends. Awesome. What's your biggest takeaway? I know you kind of followed up with me and whatnot, but I'm curious what your biggest takeaway is, or a couple takeaways. What have you learned? What's the difference? So Andrew, for those who don't know, Andrew and I did like a consultation, and was able to kind of triage like what he was experiencing, going through, and shift the structure around. He was working out, he was doing some really good training, definitely putting effort in, but we had to kind of tweak some things around so that he can get more out of it. What's up, Jackie? Man, all my athletes are popping on. You guys are late people. Hi, Rob. I did live in Spain, and being in Spain was tough. I've always gobsmacked by anyone who can eat dinner. It's like, yeah. Well, when your wife is a nurse and she gets home at 8:30 at night, you just get used to eating late at night. Um, so I had kind of late lunch, but in Spain at 20, I think I was 21 years old. I was, Division 1 athlete. I was recovering from an injury, but man, I could throw food down. And my host mom, breakfast. Okay, I don't really drink caffeine. My host mom would give me an American sized cup, and she's like, "Cafe Americano, para Americano," like for the American, right? And it was a giant mug. And I was, if you guys know me, I mean, maybe as athletes, I'm a little bit more firm, but I don't like making people upset to a certain degree. So I just drank it. And I had a little muffin. I mean, I'm telling you, the muffin was like this big, like it was the tiniest thing, and one piece of toast with butter, a little cinnamon and sugar on it. That was it. And then I would ride 10 miles to class. So I would like start riding. In 5 minutes, I would like warm up and like feel ready to go. And then like 5 minutes later, the caffeine would kick in, and I'd be like sprinting to class. And then we were in class for 3 hours, and I'd feel like Tyrone Biggums and David Chappelle's like skits. Like I'd be like skin crawling from the caffeine and like riding in and all that stuff. And it was really hard for me to pay attention. Uh, but she would give me, as she said, dos bocadillos, porque demasiado flaco, like too skinny. She would always say in Spanish. She only spoke to me in Spanish. You're supposed to get one, but I give you two. And then for dinner, so like I would go to the restaurant, to the grocery store, and buy mini croissants, and then I'd buy Belgian milk chocolate. I love milk chocolate. Don't like dark chocolate. Sue me. All right. And I would shove the chocolate bars into the croissants and eat them at like, because I would eat both my sandwiches at like 9 to 10:30, and then lunch wasn't until 2, so I needed something to cap me over. And then lunch was okay, and then dinner was really big. So maybe that like just like burned into my brain. But oh man, I love Spain. I love it. Last time it just speaks to me on so many levels. Other than the whole kind of like not working thing. I love to work. Um, Claire, I love that outlook. As someone who gets knocked down a lot, it's easy to think I'm off track, though I continue to stay consistent. Yeah. So, it's one of these things like, why are you getting knocked down? And you don't have to answer. Okay. Totally fair. But my big thing is like maybe you're biting off more than you can chew, like squeezing the sponge too hard. Right. And so, like, when things are really volatile, like it happens, right? So how do you make it less volatile, right? Like try to, smaller bites, or be more patient, or whatever. But the thing is when we're coming back, we're still training, right? And I think that's a really big key. Anyway, thanks for sharing that and being vulnerable. Because yeah, it's so easy to feel like yeah, you're so far off from your times you're running or whatever, and it's like just keep showing up. Like again, earlier I said I finally like feel like I'm in shape, like bike shape, and it started last year. And I just like chipped away at it. There was a lot of moments where like, hey, I'm fit for like most people. Like I can ride fast enough, but like for me, like when do I feel like, yeah, this is where my fitness is at. Like this is what I know I'm capable at 42 years old. Yeah, and it's pretty cool. So anyway, and so I asked Andrew like, what do you got his big takeaway? Taking one day a week off, working out in the mornings, and taking my week as a budget amount of like $100 to spend throughout the week, $1,000. Yeah, yeah, great. So I'm glad that's working out because those are like, the principles, how like the nuance of how those things go. Uh, that's the next level, and um, yeah, maybe when I free up, we'll chat a little bit more. Claire, yeah, early dinner crew. Like I sometimes I have lunch at 2 o'clock. So which means breakfast. I've not been a breakfast guy for a while, and it's blame my wife. It's my wife's fault. What's up, Nick? The Zins. Yeah, it's my wife. I like if it's up to me, like I'm eating breakfast in the morning, I'm having lunch at 11:30, and then I'm eating dinner like 5 o'clock. That was like my whole life until I met my wife, and I wait to have dinner with her. I like having dinner as a family. I think it's important. So what's an early dinner? What time are you guys eating dinner? This is like, when do people eat dinner? How are we getting off topic? Talking about training and how we define it, and now we're talking about what time dinner is. Now, Spain, I could retire in Spain, hands down. Like, and I'm trying to create that life here a bit, but like, yeah, 5:30. That's fair. When my wife doesn't work, we're probably more like 6:30, and then when she works, we're like 8:39. So this is not too weird. And it's probably why I have like a. It's all relative, but a little extra weight on me because you're not really supposed to, eat dinner and go to bed, which I do. I'm like, I'll be in bed at 10 o'clock and passed out because I've done a lot of riding lately and I know I'm gonna be tired. 6:30 almost every night. I love an early dinner. Yeah, 6:30. Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, and you got kids, right? Like when you got the kiddos, they got to eat. Otherwise, they turn into fucking gremlins. And you turn into it. We turn into gremlins too. Like who gets hangry? My wife's like, you need to eat something. I'm like, yeah. I just say, I need to eat something in like 20 minutes or else I'm going to be hangry. So we need to figure it out. Yeah, 5:30. Gremlins for real. And that's the sad that they don't even know they're being gremlins. They're just like, they don't even know those emotions. Like, just like, just feed them, you know? I could see that. I can see hangry. Gremlin kiddos and me too. Yeah. What's up, Dakota? What's up, Ernesto? Man, my whole crew's coming on. Yeah. So today we were talking about training, how you define it based on my newsletter. Dakota, I got to get you on my newsletter. Dakota just joined on. But I was defining training, right? And to me, it's the systematic selection of exercises executed over time in order to close the gap between where one is and where they want to be. And now, as we always devolve throughout this talk, which I love, this is my favorite part. And even though it's like 7 of us like chatting along, I don't give a shit. I love it. I appreciate you all. But we're talking about early, what time we have dinner. So let's do this. I'll hang out for another. I said 5 minutes before, but I'll really just hang for 5. Curious, like how you guys define training to you, or any questions you have about training. concepts, ideas, curiosities about me. Just leave it, keep it an open book. I gotta step up my background game. I like the gray screen, but I think you guys are gonna see something new in the next couple weeks. We got group coaching for New York City marathon training, and I don't want to be a YouTuber like influencer, like with all the like colored lights and stuff, but I also am not in zero judgment. I'm not into like the books background, like all the books I read, because I read books and I gift them to people that I think would benefit from them, a concept or topic we've talked about. Because I've moved so much as a kid and young adult that if you've ever moved and you're like half you're moving, there's boxes of books. Never doing it again. Just give them away. Roberto, when are you putting a race on the calendar for yourself? That's a great question. So I raced, and Rob knew this because I would talk to him and driving the race. So I raced a crit series. It was really like a circuit, but circuit crit. So 1 mile lap, and we'd race for an hour. So lots of laps. It was about 2 to 2:30 lap. And that was like, I did it to like show up for the community, even though it's not my local one. It's like within an hour, but like the cycling community that's like local-ish. And the bike shop I'm associated with, like they were like helping out with it, and my friends were like really into it. So I'm like, let me do it. But I'm like, if I don't like it, which I didn't like racing like 2 years ago, I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I really enjoyed it. And I mean like heart rate, like not going under 170 for an hour, like just drilling it. And I wasn't in great shape. So yeah, I got the race bug a little bit. Unfortunately, the race I really wanted to do is the same weekend as uh, the race I really want to do is the same weekend as the Team Whoopers in person weekend. So boohoo. So I don't know. I might do something in August. Looking for some road races. Also, the like classification I am in cycling, which is like when you're a beginner, you're category 5, and then if you do well or start enough races, you can go category 4, and then from there on out, like you have to place well to move down the categories, and it goes cat 3, cat 2, cat 1, and then pro. And so like the top fields are like pro 1, 2. Like that's like the pro field. And so you race with teams and different stuff, and those guys bang, like they fucking fly. And then cat 3 is like where it's like you're kind of weekend warrior type thing, and that's the category I am in. But like if you show up and you're not in shape, it's not good. So yeah, I haven't signed up for something, but today was actually like a climatic day where like I've put in. So Thursday I rode 75, Saturday I rode 75, and then Sunday I rode 82 miles, and then I had a hard group ride, and I felt really good on it. And so that lets me know like I'm in shape. And I haven't been chasing it, I just been like enjoying it. So um yeah, coming soon. But cycling, I'm kind of feel like I'm done with triathlon for a while. Like I haven't really enjoyed. I don't want to do the swimming to like feel confident in the swim, and I definitely don't want to do the run workouts to like run well. It's just where I'm at. Jackie read the newsletter and thought that training is kind of defined by the individual. You can be training for health as much as training for a race. Yep. Yeah, for sure. So I was trying to like, like the overarching, like training for a race fits in that definition, right? For me, based on my understanding, but you're the copy editor. You can judge me and critique me. You can also do it for health, right? So it's like, for the person for sure, right? It's just so many times I get people saying like, "Oh, I'm injured and I'm not really training right now." And it's like, "No, no, no, we're doing VO2 max on the bike instead of running. We're doing threshold, like we're doing all these things so that like when like we're training, right? Or I have my week off, like I'm not training. It's actually like you're letting go of the sponge so that like we can synthesize like like the body can kind of debrief the season and figure it out and like repair itself, right? So absolutely true. It's individual to the person. I love that. Once marathon training is done and I want to do fun rides and runs, would that still be considered training? Yeah, to you. To me, if you're systematically selecting exercises, right? Like training things, like, hey, like after the marathon, like I want to run or ride. Like if you're just like, hey, like I don't give a shit. Like if I take 2 weeks off and like do something, I'm fine. Like I don't feel like you're really training there. But if you're like, hey, like I'm purposely tuning things down, or I'm, in a marathon, if we think of like your investment portfolio, like stocks, bonds, commodities, real estate, like whatever else you're into, silver, gold, crypto, everyone has like a portfolio balancing out of 100% what they feel comfortable with. And when we're in marathon training, it's like 80% is running, 15% is like, other things like stretching, bike, strength, different stuff like that. Right. So it's an opportunity after a marathon is to rebalance the portfolio, and rebalancing is totally fine. What's up, Sean? Um, you're just rebalancing. And so that doesn't mean you're not still investing in your health or in getting better somewhere. You can tune the volume down and up the intensity, right? Uh, yeah, it's early bedtime. Nighty night, Jackie. Thanks for joining and contributing. Appreciate you. Love these. Love this crew. Appreciate you. Yeah. So, Karina, absolutely, you're still training. This is awesome. Thank you. Awesome. Yeah. Welcome. I know you've been around a bit. What's up, Scott? So, yeah, we're talking about training. We're talking about definitions of it. And so, again, it doesn't like that's my definition. You can make your own definition, right? And that's totally fine. Again, the reason why this is all prompted is this athlete I was talking to was like, even though she's doing 25 miles a week, they don't feel that they're training because they like 50 and 60-mile weeks. That's like where they feel like they're training. But when we do like in like VO2 max focus, like speed focus, like power focus, like we don't do that kind of volume. And they're still challenging enough where they feel like it's training, but it's not their happy place. However, they keep PRing for 3 years and half and full, like, it's clearly working. So, but in my newsletter, I also talked about like I was introduced to a friend's wife who's a runner, and he's a cyclist, and he's like, "This is Justin, the coach, like he's the guy I talk about, right?" And sometimes I get put in funny positions, and he's like, "You can talk to him about your training." I'm like, "You don't have to talk about your training. It's okay." Like, and she's like, "No, it's going all right." I'm like, I see like Boston stickers and stuff. She's like, "Yeah, I used to do marathons. I would do like 2 to 4 a year for like years, but I just don't feel like doing that anymore. And I feel kind of burnt out," which happens. It definitely happens to people. Right. And so I'm like, "Ah, that's all good." She's like, "So I'm just like kind of doing some halves and, figuring it out, but I'm not really like training." And that's exactly what she said. And I was like, or something like that, close. And I was like, "Yeah, you're like trying to get your mojo back." And she's like, smiled. She's like, "Yeah, trying to get my mojo back." And that's totally fine. So she's still training. She's like, I think she said she was doing like 5 days a week or something like that. You're still training. You're showing up and you're trying to close that gap. Sometimes you're not actually making steps to close the gap. You're just taking steps to not go that far backwards. Like when we get sick or different stuff like that. So anyway, how you doing, Scott? I think it's Scotchich. Maybe I'm not saying it wrong. I don't see your name on there. But yeah, anything you're curious about or questions that pop up? Got a couple more minutes before I go eat a late dinner, but early bedtime? Not really. sometimes after a hard group ride, it's like, even though I'm exhausted and tired, like I'm kind of wired. So the glass of wine, which I don't have often, a little half pour or something like that, helps me relax a little bit. But then I don't sleep so well because alcohol doesn't help with sleep. So whatever. Boring. All right. Well, appreciate you all for jumping on and engaging or just hanging out and observing. These are my Monday musings. Every Monday, I show up to talk about something that is on my mind, something I'm seeing with the clients, something I'm seeing in the industry. It's driving me nuts, that I love, some in my own training. And yeah, and we talk about it. And then we have a glass of wine and chit chat with all of you. Whatever comes up for you guys. And this is the more fun part. Relate to that being tired and worn, but still wired vibe. Yeah. Like I'm not a evening. I prefer to work out in the morning or midday, which I have a schedule where I can do that at times. But like when people are like, I see them like they're training at like 9 o'clock at night to get the training in, which I admire, but I'm like, okay, we're sleeping 5 hours a week, night. Like, how do we train in the morning? So anyway, thanks for another great music. Appreciate y'all. And if you ever miss them, they're always up there. I know they're a bit long, but like the first 15 minutes, I got to do a better job of making it 5 minutes, like a little bit shorter, or maybe a minute to get people's attention. I don't know, but as a couple people let me know that they're still watching them. So if you're watching them later, comment. For those who are still here, because I don't think anyone makes it past this. I don't get a lot of views, but it's mostly to connect with you guys live. And then I'm on YouTube and I have the streaming service, which gives me these clips. You got to stay relevant and clip it up. Anyway, nighty night all. Appreciate you all. Thanks for engaging. Please sign up for my newsletter if you haven't. And if you're ever curious about anything off this, like I do consultations. We chat for like 30, 45 minutes, try to figure some out. Andrew's one of those guys I did it with. And he was just giving it some praise. Appreciate y'all. A little testimony. So anyway, you guys have a good one. Talk to you soon. Hit me up on DM me and we'll go from there. Later.